you have to be so much, because like my boyfriend's 5'11" and you're so much taller than him. I was like, well, one of us over here are lying, and it's not me. It's not me.
Attractiveness, like how much I'm attracted to you, and like 40% personality, especially when like we're specifically.
Men love horse. We're out here again, Renee. Welcome back, everybody, to the Intellectual Podcast, where we try to add a little nuance to the polarizing conversation on the internet.
We sprinkle it in a little bit.
You know how we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And this week, I don't know, I think I want to continue the discussion that we were having in like the dating field, but more so like types and preferences, you know?
Yes.
Namely, like in a culture that has so much variance,
right?
Where is the line between casual dating preferences and like aggressive, really racist prejudice?
Right, like things that you need to go see a therapist for.
Exactly.
Don't make that my problem.
And then we can also share some of our own dating preferences and classify them as red or green flags, or are they practical or unrealistic? You know, we can see how that works. So
I think we're going to have a little bit of fun with it.
A little bit of fun with this one. If you guys think that we're crazy and you want to judge us for our preferences.
Right.
You, and I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Simply.
God, I like what I like. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a very triggering. Well, I actually didn't realize until we decided to talk about this topic when I was going on social media and just like, okay, well, what are like when people are talking about like their dating preferences, what are like the main things that they're talking about? And I didn't realize that it was such a triggering topic, understandably so, because of the ways that people usually will take this topic.
And it can be triggering, but it can also be super casual and super fun.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So like, what are the common preferences? People have physical preferences.
Yes,
right.
They
have
cultural preferenses,
career preferences. I want a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, maybe. Why not? See, experiential preferences. Values, activities, hobbies, really any concept that you can think of, people have a preference for.
100%. We're human. You know, we judge and we assess and we have preferences because of it. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not compatible with everybody, so
and nor should you be.
That would not be fun if I was.
Could you imagine?
You should be concerned if I.
Could you imagine, like, oh yeah, you could literally date half the planet. That's a lot of choosing.
Yeah, that is a lot of choosing.
I don't think our brains are equipped to exist in that much choice.
No, 100%.
We're already struggling with the amount of choices that we have.
We really don't need more. We really don't need more.
Crazy. So what are some of your preferences? And allow me to judge them.
And allow you to judge
Why
them.
not?
Yeah, I mean, do we have a little list of like little things?
Why don't we start with physical?
Okay.
We can talk about the very obvious, not so elephant in the room. We can just start with it. It's okay. Just start. Just say it. It's okay.
I like them taller than me.
Oh my height. Yes.
Height. Yes.
Every man listening cringes.
Every man.
It's okay, short king.
Oh.
You have value too. Don't even worry about it.
Well, I think like there's like, gosh, I don't even know how to exactly put this. There was definitely a time where I put a lot more emphasis on that as like a deal breaker or like a rule breaker. Yeah, a deal breaker. Than I did like. Honestly, right before I started dating my now boyfriend.
Wow, how convenient for him.
Yeah, very and obviously, and the funny thing is he is tall. He's 6 foot, and
her preferences change from 6'3" to 6'1".
I am, as I said,
so gracious of you.
As we said, I am a model. I am very tall, and even when I wear my Doc Martens, that puts me at almost 6 foot. Yeah. You know, so it's something that I had always had like a preference for. I would say like, oh, they have to be like 6'3" or taller or whatnot. And in recent years, I realized that is one, it just ends up like, if you really think about it, it's so silly to like a degree. Granted, I still would like them to be taller than me.
It's silly, but I ain't changing it.
Like,
hey, yo.
I made the parameters or a little bit wider. So it went from 6'3" to 6 foot.
A little more realistic.
A little bit more realistic.
I'll tell you this. Because, I'm not the tallest individual on the planet, but I'm also like not short by any capacity of the definition. I think that it's perfectly reasonable for any woman that is my height or taller to want some guy that's taller than them. And it is what it is.
I agree. I think definitely where it becomes a little crazy is when you're looking at those 5'3" girlies who are like, he has to be 6'3". I'm like, Miss Girl.
Why do you need a man that's a foot taller than you?
Like, I went on a date with a guy one time who was 6'8", and that I feel like I finally had that 5'3" girly experience. It was not that enjoyable.
Like, it's not even what I wanted.
It's too tall.
Sure.
Like, at least for me. Obviously, there are people where that is like, that's exactly what they want.
Like when they're 6'4"?
It was a moment where I was like, there is too tall for me. You know what I mean?
It's like harder. I'd imagine that it's very hard to control your extremities. At that length.
Well, it was more just like the craning of the neck.
It's like I've never had to use these muscles before.
Right. Yeah. Like, actually, I don't mind looking eye to eye. Like, I really don't mind it.
It's the most practical thing. Honestly, it's also in terms like physical aesthetics between couples. The closer you are in height, the better you look as a couple.
Like, it's like a decent, like, I feel like me and my boyfriend are at like that perfect like height where he's definitely taller than me. And when we stand right next, but it's like I can look at him and I'm looking up at him just like a tiny bit. And it's nice. It gives me the comfort that I need of why women like guys who are taller is 100%. Like the feeling protected and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like obscene.
Obscene.
Not me calling
egregious height.
Not me calling men who are like, if you are like 6'8" and above, that is just
egregious,
completely unnecessary.
You gotta take care of that.
Completely unnecessary.
Oh my goodness, no. On my end, no, I can appreciate short women and tall women. I don't really have like a height preference per se. Like I said, I exist right in the middle of where that is. So if like I wanted to date a 5'8" girl, I don't think that it would be much of a problem. They will think it's a problem. I mean, but that's neither here nor there. And then of course 5'2", 5'3" is also not a big deal.
Yeah.
I honestly think girls that short don't even know how tall is, right?
100%.
Because I was talking to a girl one time. I got up. We were sitting down when I met her, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, you're so tall. What are you, like 6'2"?" I was like, "Ma'am, while I appreciate that, not at all. I'm a cool 5'11", nothing crazy." She's like, "No, you're not.
You have to be
so much because like my boyfriend's 5'11", and you're so much taller than him." I was like, "Well, one of us over here are lying, and it's not me. It's not me."
I'm dead.
No. So it's like,
you're like, Miss Girl,
how tall is tall?
How do I break it to you?
All these short kings over here switching up the measurement, so I could be 6 feet to like someone that's 5'3". It doesn't matter.
You definitely could like lie because of all the 5'11" men who do lie.
Exactly, right? So it works for me. But no, it's like my perfect height is like 5'6", 5'7". Because it's like right there, perfectly. Like not so eye to eye. If you wear heels, we would be eye to eye. But like I'm not. I don't feel some type of way. But like, why is a girl looking me in the eye? That's crazy.
I think definitely within that like was it that 3 to 4 inches?
Yeah.
Difference.
Oh, you just need 4 inches. You don't need more than 4 inches. I'm just saying. Come on. All right, here's another one.
Yes.
Beard or no beard? Choose your answer very carefully.
I'm choosing my answer like very directly. Beard.
Beard. Hey, there you go. We got another one for the beards. Why beard? Actually, I'm so curious about why people like or dislike.
I don't know why in general. It's actually funny that I'm saying because like at the end of the day, if like. I don't know. If you're attractive, you're attractive. But like, I don't know. I just like a beard. It doesn't have to be like a like it doesn't have to be crazy like yours. Like a long like a beard.
Like a beard.
It can be sure, but like a nice like stubble action, a 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know.
Just facial hair in general.
I enjoy the facial hair for sure.
Very good. Very nice. I would prefer no beard. Honestly, if I had to choose.
That would be very scary, you without a beard.
No, I'm talking about for the people I'm dating. There you go. She got the joke finally. Preferably no beard, right? Yeah,
right. But a little peach fuzz.
Most girls have. I've been looking at these girls' upper lips recently, and like all of them have little mustaches. I'm like,
I have to do a little shavy shave every once in a while.
I don't know how I feel about. I'm not like super like repulsed by it, but I do find it like a little like, oh, a mustache.
You're like, oh, I will keep my feelings to myself.
I mean, it's like I don't really feel some type of way about it. You know, it doesn't bother me as much as like it would bother, like, say, another person. I don't know how people feel about that, but in the grand, my facial hair is so massive that your little peach fuzz isn't gonna matter in the grand scheme of thing. You know,
it's like it's feminine hair,
right? Which brings us to
that's why it's called peach fuzz.
Yeah,
it's
which brings us to the next ones, like body hair.
Oh,
that's been a conversation recently.
100%. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure because it definitely correlates for my beard loving self is that like I just in general like a hairy man. Like the thought of a man.
Whoa, choose your next words carefully.
I just like, okay. My preference. I just like a hairless man. I don't like enjoy particularly. And
now, is that practical or unrealistic?
I mean, like, look, like it's gonna happen. Like, but I just like there's a difference between like a hairy guy who like will shave versus just a hairless guy, like a guy who does not have body hair. And that some girls love it. Like I know girls who are like, oh yeah, they're so soft and smooth. And I'm like,
absolutely not.
Cannot do it.
Oh my God.
It just does not appeal to me. It doesn't like, so those pictures of like guys all hairless and smooth, I'm like,
so like models don't do it for you?
Exactly. Fair enough. 100%.
Fair enough. Models do it for me though, so I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, that's
I'm just saying, that's crazy that that's your job. You don't
every
like
guy
those
says
people?
that until they date a model. Then they're like, oh no.
I'll get back to you on that one, honestly. We'll see how that goes. Again, the conversation around women's body hair is so complex. Do I think it's unrealistic? Personally, no. I don't.
Unreal. What? Name it.
To want a girl that doesn't have an aggressive amount of body hair, like armpit hair and stuff like that. You see it. The feminist people talking about like, I shouldn't have to shave, blah blah. It's like, nah, you shouldn't have to. But I also shouldn't have to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I think where then like where like the problem like then comes in is just like I think where the problem comes in with all of it probably, and we can jump back and forth with it, is kind of like imposing your preference for this or that onto other people, or without like the recognition of like certain things. Like we literally naturally grow our body hair. It's like a natural thing on your body. So to be so repulsed by it is like, okay, maybe you need to grow up a little bit.
Right. No, that's very realistic.
You
so
know?
let me elaborate, because it's not like, oh, you have armpit here, now you're untouchable, you're unclean. I'm gonna, you know, it's not like that. It's just like you see it on the internet. Those like people doing like their little marches and stuff like that, and they're like, whoa, there's like a bush coming out of their arm. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'm not like, but I'm like, prefer just why not just buzz that right off, not a big deal. But like at the same time, I understand how, because my hair grows insanely fast. Right. My barber's always talking about like, well, I just cut your hair last week, why do you have so much hair? Right. I'm like, okay, I feel that. So like for the girls that are like that, the upkeep is not always a practical thing to do. And if you're in a long-term relationship, that shouldn't be a deal breaker for you. Right. You shouldn't be like, breaking up with it's just like, hair. Right. It's not like, you know?
And there's like a space for everyone. I think at the end of the day, it's like you will find people who will love your body hair, and that's also the other thing is like having like legitimate hate for other people, because she wants
the hatred is the thing I don't understand. Like, why do you feel that strongly?
And I think that's what usually those like women are tapping into when they talk about that, is that there's like literally like a visceral reaction from these men on like women's body hair, when it could just be because there's like, including myself, I still shave my armpits. I do the whole laser hair removal stuff. Wow. That's
intense. Is that painful, by the way?
Not as painful as waxing because it's a lot quicker. It happens a lot more quickly. So I have a low pain tolerance. So I just got to get in, get out. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
So it's like, it's just as like you will find like women who still, despite or with the knowledge of the fact that they have body hair and understand the social implications of why they shave, blah, 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 that whole conversation, I still choose and enjoy shaving. You will find people like those women who don't enjoy shaving or don't want to shave will find men who do not care and yada, yada, yada. As long as no one's like hating on everyone, because then that's just weird.
Yeah. 100% I agree. That's intense for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad bods or six pack?
Ooh, do I have to choose?
Yeah, just for the sake of conversation. Like, what would you naturally gravitate towards?
I think overall, I mean, historically, I've leaned towards a gym person who works out. That is what I lean towards. But I don't think in the future I would mind like just a slight dad bod.
What's the appeal for dad bods?
I don't know. I think that reaction is just, I don't know. It's just like, but then also too, I saw this TikTok where this girl was like, oh, this is what my husband's dad bod looks like. And he was still really ripped. And I was like, okay, I could also really enjoy that.
So you're talking about Kratos from God of War?
Right. No, literally.
Yo, this is my dad bod.
This is my,
wow.
Well, no, it was like the wife, she had posted it, like
Sure.
him playing with their like daughter or something like that. And she was like, this is, you guys can stay over there with your dad bods. This is my dad
bod.
Like,
Y'all be safe though. That's crazy.
You make a point.
No, that's really true, right? And of course, like this body image conversation is already loaded, 100%. Right? But so many people are trying to piggyback off terms and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we have to be realistic about these boundaries of definition. Yeah. A dad bod isn't some dude living in a basement that doesn't exercise and eats donuts 24/7 with 7 chins. And like doesn't shower, like that's
like
not
someone who like literally
bod.
Like neglects or doesn't take care of himself.
Exactly. So it's like, what are we talking about here?
What are we talking about? 100%. Because at the end of the day, like you want someone like, for me, it's like all that really like, I don't know, because then you get different conversations that I'm literally in my brain.
Say what you got to say.
For some reason, you saying that just took it right out of my brain.
No, I can't say nothing.
There's so much pressure. Oh my God. You want someone who like takes care of themselves.
That's
you know
what
I mean?
Too.
At the end of the day, like that's what matters. And whatever weight that is, because everyone has different like weight levels and all that kind of stuff, or however that looks, like however that looks for you, is how it looks for you. But you do want someone who like wants to be healthy and wants to look
and that's
themselves.
The thing, right? I want them to be healthy. So if you're healthy is looking like Lizzo, I mean, that's what she does yoga and she does all her things. It's
literally.
Like, is that like my preference? No, but I'm not like mad at her because she's like doing her thing.
100%.
That's just her life.
Exactly.
And, man, the ridicule that poor girl gets.
No, for real.
Like, come on, she's existing.
Like she's just living her life. Like she's doing her thing.
She actually makes decent music too. That's the crazy part. Like your music is actually low-key fire. You guys can't get over the fact that she's... Oh man, poor girl.
Y'all are just mad.
Just mad for no reason. I think my priority also exists in the realm of a desire to be active, to be healthy. I'm not trying to take care of you while you're having heart attacks in the hospital. Yeah. Just not mine. Not my MO, right?
No.
And also that extends to, because I'm such like a food human, right?
Yeah.
Like so many times, especially when I was on the dating apps, so many people like, oh, I love Taco Bell, blah, blah, blah. It's like, ooh, like my guilty pleasure, like McDonald's. And I'm just like, yeah.
You just have a bad taste.
No, it's not even that intense either. I'm just like, that food is just so bad.
Yeah.
And if you like it enough to put it on your profile,
that is
like
kind of wild.
How much are you eating that? Like, where's your whole foods? Where's your like macronutrients?
Right.
Like,
Right.
You wake up and go to like McDonald's for a McGriddle.
There are people out there that do.
That's the crazy part. And like to me, it's like, sure, you can look like a swimsuit Sports Illustrated model, but I can't hang out with you if you are over here eating McGriddles for breakfast. It's just like, gotta draw the line somewhere.
Gotta draw the line.
Again, is that an unreasonable preference?
No.
It can be.
I think that I think it's what we're getting at is that it's symptomatic of something else. And whether like if you're eating healthy and you're looking after yourself, like, and you want to do that or you're striving to do that, because even I myself, many times, I literally just got done eating a whole thing of Cheez-Its.
I mean,
right? So it's like
everything in moderation.
Right, exactly. We have to enjoy ourselves.
I know I will get Taco Bell. I'm not opposed to Taco. I had Taco Bell last night. Let's be real. But it's the consistency. Yeah. That's a once in the blue moon for me. I would rather make a taco than get Taco Bell.
100%.
But whatever. It is what it is. And then I remember we were talking earlier about whether or not you should enjoy hygiene, right? That was your thing.
Oh yeah. Because there's like this thing, I think a lot of like women, it's probably like just circulating on their like social medias where like girls will talk about
not taking showers. I've been seeing that lately.
Oh my God.
I don't wash my hands. Hey, yo, what are you talking about? You don't wash your hands.
Not hygiene in that sense.
The basic.
No, not like hygiene as in like, do you wash your hands? But like as in like body odor, like your natural like musk or scent. Like, do you enjoy, like when your partner comes home from the gym or like when they just wake up in the morning and they haven't showered, like the musk on them, do you enjoy that smell? And like it's like a whole thing where it's like the pheromones, like like if you don't like your partner's pheromones, then you're not like compatible.
Sure,
exactly.
I hear you, science.
I think it's like a girl. Maybe it's just a girl thing. Because I enjoy my partner's pheromones. I enjoy his mess. Like he comes back home from the gym, and I'm like, I don't care. Sometimes I care a little bit.
Sure.
Like there's obviously like. There's an extent to it. There's levels to it, but like in general, like I enjoy, like I don't mind his like natural scent. Where I can definitely say he could not say the same for me.
Well, that's what I think. Maybe, and that might just be a guy thing because
he's like, you need to
freaking shower. Like, hey, I don't know. And this is also from a Latin American perspective, right? Because my mom, she has the most sensitive nose. She'll know that like food is going bad in the fridge, like the first day it starts to turn. And I'm just like, nah, this is still good. It's like, nah, throw that out. And then like the next day it's like mold all over. I was like, how do you know these things? So I grew up shower in the morning, shower at night type stuff. So like we're always like clean.
I grew up that way too, but there's an in between. Like when you get home from soccer practice or like
straight to the shower.
Right.
Straight to the shower. It wasn't a linger. It wasn't, you've been playing outside all day. Go take a shower. Wash the dirt of the outside off of you. Like there was a hard line between outside smells and how you can smell when you're like playing around doing sports or whatever, because people are going to smell, right? Yeah. We can't just expect people to smell like roses 24/7. We all shit. It is what it is. I'm not stressed about it. But it's like what you bring to the house. Yeah, right? We don't lay on our we don't lay on our beds with our outside clothes. We don't put our shoes on inside the house. Like there's like that stark difference. So to the point that I'm trying to make, if like people walk in the door, they have like that outside smell and stuff like that. I smell it. I'm not going to stress out over it. Yeah. But if we're like in the house and like you haven't showered and you just like have the smells that you have, I don't enjoy everybody's smells. Some people smell like ass. But like, and they gotta wash it. I don't care. It can be my part. It can be my baby girl. I don't care. You need to take a shower. Hey, we can shower together. What do you mean? I'm just saying it gotta. No. Yeah. Because nothing is more repulsive to me than bad smells.
Fair enough.
I can't do it.
I mean, I would like to say for the record, we were told to shower and we needed to shower as kids as well.
I'm not saying that it's only in Latin America. Like, you Americans over here never shower. Yes. I'm just I can only speak from my reference.
You were never allowed to enjoy your
my mom was very adamant about me not smelling. Yeah. As I smell.
Right. For sure. I hear you. I don't enjoy my own smell, but I will enjoy my partner's smell.
That's interesting.
And I definitely think that's like a thing. 100%.
Which is also very interesting because for the most part, the women that I smell good. Like most women.
Girls are not we're not gonna be walking around smelling musky. That's why only my partner would really smell me.
Even to that point, I don't think in my experience that girls BO has ever been as repulsive for me to like make a big deal out of it. It's like,
gotcha.
Sure, you haven't showered.
You're right, we do smell like flowers and roses.
I mean, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. But it's like, it's not as bad as like when a man hasn't showered in a day.
No.
It's very different. It's very, very different. I'm just like, yeah. And it's like, oh, you were working in the fields.
Yeah.
You got to take care of that.
You got to take care of that.
It's just like, oh man, I don't even want to go into it. I don't want to go any more graphic than I already am. I'm just like, it can get pretty rough.
Okay, yeah. You've said enough. I don't think I want to know anymore.
But no, hygiene is super important. I actually judge 100%. People if they don't have like bedtime routines. That's like a really big thing for me, and I judge them so aggressively. It's ageist. Like if you like went all day doing all your things, you come and then you just like go straight to bed.
Ooh.
That's like strike 4 for me.
No.
There's no, I could love you. I could be like so into you, but if like you don't brush your teeth before you go to bed, you don't wash your face, I'm not really stressed out about showering too much. Like you don't have to shower before you go to bed. Pick whenever you shower, but like, come on. Floss, fam. Like what is we doing? What is it? And then they have the nerve. Oh man, they have the nerve to wake up in the morning and be like, good morning, man. I'm like, oh, why are you talking to me with your fucking morning breath, please?
I have bad morning breath whether or not I brush my teeth or not before bed.
Hey, it's gonna be way worse if you don't brush your teeth before. Come on.
Probably. I think it probably depends on what you've like eaten as well, too. Like if you've eaten right before bed, or essentially like right before bed, and then don't brush your teeth,
sure,
and wake up, you know what I mean? Like that food's just like existing.
Which is why you should brush your teeth, fam.
Totally, 100%. I will say I do not always brush my teeth before bed.
No further comments at this time. Hey, yo.
It's okay. I've been heavily judged by Matt already.
It's okay. Not enough to change it. Hey, yo.
Slowly but surely.
Why is that like a... Okay. I'm not going to get into it.
Because this is the thing. I will wash... it's so dumb. I don't know why. It's just like a habit that I have not fully like... I just never fully picked up from my childhood. Like I will brush my teeth like once a day, every day, for sure. And I'll wash my face before bed too. Especially if I've been wearing like makeup, obviously.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah. But like... I just won't always brush my teeth.
How you in the bathroom taking off your makeup already, washing your face already, and you don't feel it? The toothbrush is right there.
I know.
It's right there. All right, from now on, you already told the internet that you're disgusting.
You know what? I'm using this as a moment to hold myself accountable.
Oh my God, Olivia, please.
I'm gonna be so judged.
Oh my God. We'll leave it at that. That's enough physicality. Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Oh gosh. I really just outed myself.
What's more important to you? The physical or personality?
I like if I was going to like put it into like a ratio percentage. I don't know if I should say it first or like explain myself. Maybe I'll just say it first and then explain myself. If I'm being honest, it would probably be like, especially in those, it would be 60% attractiveness, like how much I'm attracted to you, and like 40% personality. Especially when like we're specifically talking about like the initial, like to get me to then consider you as someone who I would want to date. And that is why I put attractiveness at 60%, because look, I have to think you're hot.
Yeah.
I just have to think you're hot. And I think like different people think different types of people are hot, and there is a hot person for everyone, you know. But I have to think you're hot, and that is going to be like a priority, and not in like the long term,
sure,
but in the Even in the long term, like to a degree, like I want to still be attracted to my partner. That their physical appearance may change, but I do want to make sure that I'm always physically attracted to my partner. But obviously that diminishes this. It's not 60% always, right? As like the relationship progresses. But yeah, like I think like if I think about it, when I'm like approaching or if I'm like talking to someone, let's say like I'm not attracted to this, like a person like at all, but like we're vibing and like with it, our personalities mesh and like we're getting along like super, super great. You're a friend because I'm just not physically attracted to you. So you're immediate. And that is how I know, like, I do like value that. I do want to be attracted to you. Granted, like for me, I mean, even in that, like I said, people have like different like preferences. Like at the same time, I don't really care for a guy to be like this, like mega uber
Adonis Greek god.
Yeah, like was it like the attractiveness ratio? Like
golden ratio on him.
I don't need. If anything, I don't really prefer that personally.
Interesting.
I need a little bit more of some interesting features going on,
like a big ass nose.
Yes.
You should see her. You should see her smile. She liked that a little too much. I'm concerned.
My partner has a larger nose.
Yeah,
he does. He has a larger nose, or it's not even a large nose. He has like the like classic like, what is it? The bridge. He has like a large. Is that what it would be called?
This
the
is
bridge?
a nose bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, hit the bridge of his nose.
It goes like this.
Yeah, it's his little Arabness, you see. Exactly.
I see.
So I definitely do not. Yeah, I like interesting features. I like a guy to look. I also like a guy to look like a man. I do not want him to be too pretty.
Pablo Picasso, if you will.
Sure, yeah, a little wonkiness going on, a little small eye, big eye.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
She just doesn't want him to be. She's not into like the.
I don't like the
Michelangelo type.
Right. I love how you're putting this into like artists.
We are works of art.
Wow,
I don't know.
you're really putting that degree to work. That art degree.
I'm just saying. It is what it is. I took art history 3 times, baby. Let's go.
Yes, you did.
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's super fair. I think people really want to minimize the importance of physical attractiveness.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they are assuming, and I'm probably to a degree, some people are saying it with the intent of excluding people, like excluding other people, like less attractive people, quote unquote. But I think what I'm saying, or I think what is like being said is that like you as like your individual person should find your partner attractive. You should find them hot and attractive.
You think that people are saying it in the sense that
well, people are excluding other people when they're saying like I need to find you hot, right? And there's people who find other people hot and not other people hot. But in the sense of like
when you generalize it to a population,
right,
it becomes really offensive.
Exactly.
Because it's kind of like the only way that you deserve this romantic iteration is if you're attractive.
Yes.
Is that what you're going? That's what you think people are saying? More or less?
I think that's how people are feeling when those conversations are being had.
I see. Honestly, nah, I'm not going to say that.
Oh my God. See, you're about to say some wild stuff.
I'm not going to say that.
Oh my God.
But in all seriousness, I think even though they like to differentiate, right? Men are visual creatures, women not so much. But like,
I'm visual.
No, and it's like that was literally my point. I was like, we put significance on different things over time.
Yeah.
But if you had 2 people with the exact same personalities both approach you and one looked like someone kicked his face in with a big metal boot and the other one looked like a Michelangelo painting.
You would be more attracted to one than the
Naturally.
other.
I don't think that's like, we try to demonize it so much. I don't think that's like the worst thing in the world. Because you as a person can just understand that that's the case. And then do your own personal like, you don't have to reject the ugly person outright, right? You don't have to treat him less of a human being.
Right, 100%.
But if you're choosing who to spend the rest of your life with, which is the goal, right? Or even if you just want to have fun with a person in a romantic context, why do you have to feel evil for not wanting to engage?
Not being attracted to someone.
You know, it's like, I think that's a weird thing, which honestly, pretty privilege is a thing.
Yeah.
I never had that problem. So I understand, like, for like as an ugly person, you might feel a little bit differently because the narrative is always against you. So you kind of feel attacked every time anybody's talking about it. It's like, like, what do you mean? Like, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But it's like, 100%. That's just life.
Right.
Life is kind of unfair, and that's just kind of what it is. And it's hard to only focus 100% on personality.
Yeah.
Because I like things that are in a pretty package. Mm-hmm. I won't open a present that's wrapped in newspaper.
Yeah.
I like nice Christmas packaging.
Yeah. For sure. And I think, and to a degree too, it's like, I don't want to say this statement because I always feel like when I hear this statement, it's like a slight dig, but or it's like said in like whatever context, but like genuinely, like someone will find you attractive.
Yeah, there's a person for everybody.
Like, and like just because I am attracted to this person over this person doesn't mean that person won't. The person I'm not attracted to will not find someone who's not attracted to them, right? So yeah,
people just want who they want, honestly.
At the end of the day, people just want who they want, and that's okay.
And not everybody who you want wants you.
And I'm like mine with a big nose.
Hey, yo, what is this? What is this accent? I don't understand.
And very hairy.
How about values?
How
about values?
Well,
how
less
are we?
Important.
Well, there it is. You heard it here first, folks. She does not care about anything beyond hairy men with large nose, a little Pinocchio on them. Hey, yo, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me.
Oh my gosh. Yes, let's get into it. No, this is good.
Extroverted or introverted? What do you think?
I would probably. All
right, wait before you answer.
Okay.
Answer for yourself, right? Would you describe yourself more as intro or extroverted?
I'm gonna say introverted.
Interesting.
On the slight.
Like it leans towards introversion.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I don't think people would read me that way. People don't actually. No, I know people do not read me that way. People think I'm more extroverted than I actually am. I do very much enjoy people and I enjoy like socializing and whatnot, but I spend a majority of my time by myself happily. Emphasis
on the happy part. Like, yes. I enjoy it. I relish it. Exactly. I love it. I need it.
Yeah, exactly. Yikes. Exactly.
So then would you want a more introverted partner or an extroverted one?
Well, I extroverted for sure. I definitely like when I have like, you know, been in like the dating space, I think I lean more towards people who are have like a strong like social network, who like enjoy doing things and all that kind of stuff, because it essentially the yin and yang. You like it's an area where I think I need necessary balance with a relationship where it wouldn't bother me. Right, to that I'll have like a more like extroverted partner.
Fair enough. Apparently, I found out that I am an extrovert.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow, how did you find that out?
People whose opinions I value more than not have been telling me that's how I am. And I'm like, when they told it to me,
how did they explain it to you?
They just said I was an extrovert.
Oh,
I wasn't like super deep, but like the preceding context that I found myself in after they told me that, I was like going out of my way to like talk to people, really like socializing and like really enjoying that. I was like, oh yeah, they did not make any moves to like talk to these people in the elevator. Yeah. And here I am. So what are you guys doing today? I was like, hey, wow, I get
in the elevator?
Yeah, I know, right? It was crazy.
That's weird.
It was crazy. And I was like, oh.
I would never.
I am an extrovert. That's wild.
Yeah. I get stressed out with like being obligated to socialize with people.
Even if like it's nice and they're social.
Well, after the fact, I'll be like, oh, that was nice. I should do that more. But like I will actively like, and no knock on the people either. Even like with like my roommates, like I'll actively avoid them sometimes because I'm like, not even because I don't like them. I'm just like anxious at the idea of like, what if I'm stuck in a conversation I don't want to be in?
Sure, yeah.
How do I get out of it? And I always get out of it seamlessly. Like I have very good social skills, actually. So it's never actually.
She's a social expert whining about how she's going to leave a conversation.
It's never an issue.
Oh my goodness.
Literally ever an issue. But like I just get like anxious at the thought of like I have this fear of being trapped in social situations I don't want to be in, even though I've never really had an issue of getting out of anything.
Never happened to me before. That's just how the brain works, is just stressing out over things that do not matter.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, no. In that, I think I love introverted women. I think that's a trend in my life.
Yeah.
Most of the women that I find myself attracted to are the people that don't have super huge social circles and that don't like to go out and like do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike party people, because they're also super fun. But as extroverted as I am, I do like the kind of intimacy that you can get with a person who doesn't do things.
Yeah.
Like you can develop a lot of rapport very quickly. And those introverted people, they are so ready to share their internal worlds with people who want to listen.
This is true.
Introverted people talk. Like that's the misconception, right?
Yeah, totally.
They are social. They're adept at interacting. They just don't interact with everyone.
Right.
But when they choose you, it's like, wow. And it's a lot. And I love the exploration of those types of people.
Yeah.
But the caveat is I need a person who is down to do things with me. You don't have to enjoy social situations. You don't have to like want to go to the bars every night type stuff.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, let's go to San Diego, let's do this crazy thing. And you're like, I'd rather stay inside. Enough of that and I will find a different person, because that's one of my deal breakers for sure. Like
third strike.
No, like for real. It's like, all right, I understand people don't want to do things all the time.
Totally.
But if you're constantly rejecting my offers to participate in life,
right.
Can't do it.
That's tough.
Can't do it.
That's tough.
That will just be so boring to me.
Yeah.
Like the only interesting things I do with you is sit and watch like TV.
Yeah. That's pretty one-dimensional.
Be for real.
Be for real.
I'm just saying.
No, that's really fair. It's a very like 1D, 2D like relationship dynamic. Like you're not like really like doing much. You're not seeing much of one another like in many different contexts.
Sharing anything.
Shared experience.
Which
it's needed.
I think in college it was less. It didn't matter to me at all. Whereas now that I do a lot of things in the social media space and like the events that I go to, and all this stuff, it's like it's more important that I have someone that can be beside me in that. Like, I value that type of camaraderie. But
100%.
To each their own.
To each their own.
Which, speaking of college, college, no college. What do you think?
As in like no bachelor's degree or bachelor's degree, like whether they just gone to college.
Yeah, at all. Do you think that's a reasonable thing to have a preference for?
I don't think it is.
Why?
Because I don't know that like in this day and age it's like actual indicator of intelligence or even like a desire to pursue or like have a passion for something or want to learn or be open-minded. Because I do know people who have but then now that I'm thinking about it, I honestly don't know very many people who have not at least like gone to college.
Which is interesting because as a college grad, that's where your social circle stems from. Right.
Like a lot of the people that I know.
You met in college.
Yeah, I met in college.
Look at that. That's crazy.
Nowadays, not so much. Sure. Like a lot of the people that I interact with are like not necessarily from like school.
Like creatives and
exactly. But even those people, like a lot of them that I know, they've been at least at community college. So it's like it's hard to like, because I think like our society has now like it's like said that the master's is like the new bachelor's. Like a bachelor's degree to people, and maybe that's like a privileged statement for people who may or may not be able to afford it, but a bachelor's degree is like whatever now. It's like everyone has a bachelor's these days. It's the master's that's like what's seen and like, oh, you have like a master's, yada yada yada.
And to that point, since we are putting so much values on pieces of paper,
Literally.
it doesn't really it doesn't really, what am I trying to say? Words, Jem, you got it. The paper doesn't necessarily reflect your capacity to ingest and absorb information.
100%.
And I've met so many people that never went to college that are more profound, more curious, more spiritual, more intellectual than a person that I met in college.
Right. Because they're wanting to, like, those people usually, maybe not always, but like I find with those people, they have like a desire to kind of look and learn in a lens that isn't like in like the traditional like or structured way of like 100%. American education, right?
Which is very limiting in so many ways if you really want to like go into it.
Right.
So I think it's very important, like college, no college, irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But education doesn't necessarily have to take a traditional form.
Right.
But you have to be educated, whether it's like you exploring information on your own, whether you like took a sabbatical in Europe and you backpacked for like a couple years, like that's a type of education,
right?
And so on and so forth. Like if you can't add anything to the conversation, why am I talking to you? Just straight up.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's like when I think about, because I'm like my gut reaction, and it's programming.
Wow, I can say it.
But like my gut reaction is like, yeah. Like they should have like a college degree, but like I said, but I also went to college. I have a degree, so it's like maybe that's why. But and then I think about
like a kind of level thing. You want someone on the same level as you in a way.
Well, when I dig deep into like, okay, why am I like, what am I looking for in a person when I say that they should have a degree? And it's like those things that we were kind of just saying is that like, okay, well, I want them to be like motivated to like show like in their life that they have like motivation to pursue like a goal and like something that like they are passionate about. I want them to be like open-minded and like have like a learning like or like want to learn, like have that sort of like spirit of like of curiosity, right?
So just like the corporations, the paper isn't as important as what the paper represents.
Right. 100%. Exactly.
Which is so fair. Because like, yeah, if you go to college, you get a degree, you do have a certain set of qualities.
Right.
That are reflective of a person that got said degree.
You assume like a certain level that people from college.
It's usually true, right?
For the most part. Because there's also other like pressures that are reasons why people go to school, like or go and pursue like a degree.
Yeah.
You know.
And I guess that's really the limitation. This is kind of like where this conversation is heading naturally. The dangers of hyper preference.
Yeah.
And the lack of open-mindedness will strip you from potential interactions that would probably be very beneficial and edifying for you. Right. Because like, oh, I only want a person that has a college education. Yeah. Even if you like come from it from a perspective like, oh, they have a certain set of like values based on like the requirements that I have. Another person could have those same values and like really compliment you more specifically. Never went to school.
Right. Right.
And you're like, oh, so what school did you go to? Oh, I never went to school. You just turned your entire brain off. Now you're not talking at all. It's like, well, that's it. I gotta go. I'm gonna try my way to not get trapped in this social interaction. Yeah. Oh my God. And then you missed out.
100%.
Insane to me.
100%. And I think like as like you get older and you date and figure out, because I think like when you first enter into dating, you do kind of give yourself like all these like standards and like preferences that you like think you want to have as you're trying to learn even what your preferences are.
You're trying to discover who you are as a person.
And then you grow up and then you realize that your preferences should be based on like on values. And when you're young, you are still trying to figure out what your values are. You're trying to strip away the identity that you got from like your parents and like your upbringing and whatnot, and kind of going into the world and figuring out, okay, well, what did I learn from my parents? What do I see in the world? Where do I want to be? And like,
and even things that you had as you separate. Yeah. If you interact with a person, it changes. Yeah. And it grows over time.
100%.
So that's also a very important thing to consider, in my opinion.
Yeah. Super important. Super
important.
Exactly.
But I guess that naturally brings us to this idea of values and where we want these people to match us, right? I think matching is very important when people are formulating their preferences. Yeah. Because this is a crazy example, but this example is insane. But like some of the reasons why people don't like seeing professors dating students is because it's a complete mismatch.
Okay,
it's not matched at all. Like this person is just starting their adult and social career.
100%.
You've been existing in this space for like you're a professor at least 10 years, right?
Right.
Why aren't you finding someone that's more at your level?
Right. Yeah. Predatory.
I mean, it's not what we're talking about right now.
But it just needed to be said. It was just like
I said, the example was insane.
Existing right there.
The example was insane.
No, but this is true. Like you should, if you're a fully actualized human being, you should want someone who is on the same level as
100%.
you. You know,
100%. And I was like thinking about that too, because my thing, age preference, right, is
yes,
right. That's a good one. Some people, I'm 28 right now. I would never date a 18-year-old.
No.
10 years is a bit too aggressive for me. And like all our parents, my parents are 9 or 11 years apart between those.
6 years apart.
So it's like back then, the standard was different or whatever. Like the interaction was completely different. And maybe as you get older, it becomes a little different as well.
Yeah.
But like for me personally, I've never been able to exist beyond 5 years on either side.
Yeah.
So I can't really interact with a person that's 5 years older than me, 33.
More than 5 years older than you?
Yeah, like 34, 35, because like they're in a different part of life.
Yeah.
I can't relate to them. I went on a date with like a 40-year-old, super successful. She was a lawyer. She was amazing, very cool individual. I understood after dating her for like a couple times that why she was single at 43, which is a completely different issue, right? Like, I see it. It makes sense. But it's like where I was as like that 26, 27-year-old,
right.
I had nothing to really like connect with her on. I could talk.
Totally.
We can talk ideas. We can exchange all day long, which is why we had like the day was fine.
Yeah.
But we weren't connecting.
Totally.
Because she's over here like talking about her kid that's almost my age, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, I don't even know if I want kids.
I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, it's insane. And then same thing, like on the other end, a 22, 23-year-old just out of college trying to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
They're going through a life period that I'm like, all right. I get it and I can relate to it.
Right.
But it's from a top-down perspective.
Exactly.
You know, it's like I don't feel comfortable dealing with your issues because one, I've already dealt with them, so they're not really issues to me. I can't empathize with you in a way that makes sense to what you would want a relationship to be.
Right.
And then secondly, it's like it's really hard to respect a person that's dealing with things that you already like figured out for yourself. It's like it's really, really like you're really whining about this. Like,
well, because you probably constantly feel like you're in like a mentorship position.
100%.
Right. Like
100%.
teaching, which is like not to say like you should want to learn from your partner and from your partner to learn from you and all that good stuff.
But that's the other side. My partner can learn from me 100%. I want to learn from my partner.
Right.
That's a big thing for me. Compatibility in that.
It has to be both
reciprocal situation. And
totally.
with a person that's 5 years my junior, not a lot that I'm learning from you because you're learning the things that I already went through.
Yeah. No, 100%. I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
As you know, went through a major overcorrection of age.
Yeah, age preference. What are your age preferences? Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
What are those? What are those?
Well, they were. What are those? Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh. Yeah. I will say, like, before I started dating my boyfriend, I had a really big come to Jesus moment about the things that I preferred when it came to like these like physical these like more like physical preferences and I guess age is not necessarily physical but somewhat
more or less we'll
so
put it in
like
that category.
The height thing of like really restricting myself there and just really having a come to Jesus moment of like how much does this really matter in the grand scheme of things when I like what do I desire like more and it's a healthy relationship with someone who I can grow and love and be with and all that kind of stuff. And also the other thing was age, where I only really dated people who were like 5 years plus older than me. Do I say the oldest person I've ever dated?
No, Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They don't need to know. It's not necessary. Why are you trying to cancel us before we start? Olivia, please.
Yes, it would be.
No,
it'd
no,
be
not
wild.
yet. Not yet. Not yet. We'll save all that for later.
Okay.
At least 10,000 listeners, please.
At least.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. Yes. But.
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
I know.
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
I mean, we can't really talk about my age preferences. We can. I'm going to talk about it.
Later.
Well, not like in that sense, but like I've always felt, I mean, I think probably a lot of women will say this is that, you know, you date guys like older because you find that you're in more of a similar headspace as them than someone.
Oh my God, it's so tragic.
Than someone
side. Oh
I know.
My goodness.
Then like and there's definitely like a threshold. Like it's like to a point, right? Like only like so much older before, you know, whatever.
Before it becomes a problem.
Before it becomes
Why
an issue.
Why are you a 22-year-old relating to a 35-year-old?
Right. 100%.
We're at the same mental level. Why though? I'm concerned for you. That's a red flag.
Why was I? Yeah, and that was a whole other thing.
You
it was
know,
that I had to learn of like dating like 30-year-olds when I was like in my early 20s.
I'm just so mature.
Exactly.
That's why I can relate to these older men.
Well, it's not even. It was testing out whether I could.
All right.
It was really more of like a situation of like whether I could relate to someone like who was 30 years old, or testing my maturity or whatnot. That was essentially what it was.
When you were in that?
To a point, and like you were saying, that's hard, kind of like a red flag at the end of the day too, is like as a 22-year-old or 21-year-old, why is a 33-year-old man relating to me at the same, like in, you know, and like in hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Like even with the age preference, it's like my boyfriend, we're literally the exact same age. He's only 6 months older than me.
Which I will comment because I have the reference and the history.
Yeah.
She was so adamant about never dating a guy her same age.
I was so against
the fact that she met this man, and when she met this man, she was talking about it.
Yeah.
How like excited she was, and I was like, oh, how old is he? My age, 23. And I was like, wow.
I know.
Look at all this time you were
I was making such a fuss
and doing all that stuff.
Right.
And the one that you are the most compatible with is a person your age.
100%.
Not you.
Not me. But then it's a lesson in that it really isn't about age. It's just like there's just so many variables into what makes, especially when you get into like our age range of like, you know, like
mid 20s, early 20s is difficult.
There's
so much variance.
So much variance.
The range is insane.
And like what people are up to in their lives, where the maturity levels are at, and like it's just like it's just absolutely insane.
Which, honestly, this is a crazy tangent, wild segue.
Totally.
But
let's hear it. Wild.
Again, like the 23-year-olds, the 24-year-olds I talk to, they're dating people my age.
Yeah.
And they're telling me about it, and they're like, the things that they're going through, that these 28-year-olds that I have to consider peers because they're my age, I'm just like, how are you still dealing with this?
Right.
From a 28-year-old. That's so crazy to me. He's not communicating. He's playing games. He's doing other stuff. He's like figuring out his life. I was like, wow, that's insane. That sounds like me when I was 22.
Right. And it's like, look, at 28, sure, it's fine if you're still figuring out your life, whatever. It's just like the ways in which that it doesn't even matter. Like these people who are supposed to be grown are not communicating. Do not have an understanding of themselves.
Like, come on.
Like
now.
you don't even have enough self-awareness to be like, I struggle in this. Like you can't even like voice that.
Which is problematic.
Yeah. Like, you can't even say what's wrong with you.
You've been sitting with yourself in your adult mind for at least 8 years.
Right.
And never once you like looked inside there and wondered what was going on, to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I have anxiety. Like, oh yeah, like I have a fear of commitment. Oh yeah, this, that, and the other. It's like, really?
Like you can't even do that. Like that's the first step. That's the bare minimum.
Acknowledge that it exists, please, sir.
Right.
No, you're just projecting it on all the relationships that 100%. You have go off, I guess.
And that's and that goes for everyone. There's, like I said, the mid to later 20s can be just really wild and like variation. Just people, you know.
To your point in your experimentation, makes 30 plus a lot more appealing.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that have quote unquote supposedly should have.
But even then, I'm sure you hear all the wild stories.
I'm just saying they should. It's more if you're like,
or they're just more stuck in their ways.
I mean, that too. They don't respect you as a human being because they're so much older than you. But if you're playing the lottery, I'll place my bets on a person over 30 than a 20-year-old because they have to be figuring it out.
Yeah.
At 30, it's flip of a coin, a 50-50. Who knows?
Who knows? They either got it figured out or they don't. There's no in between.
Yeah. And it's really easy to tell the difference between a 30-year-old who does not have it figured out.
Yeah. That's fair. This is very true. This is very true.
It is what it is.
That's scary.
That's a conversation for another time. That's crazy.
I was just thinking, because I could go into that.
I did actually hear, I saw on the internet the other day that people care about how many people date.
So at one time.
No, as in, we can talk about monogamy and stuff like that too. But
no, like not necessarily like monogamy, like when you're like seeing people, like when you're dating multiple people at once.
The actual act of dating.
I
was like people that you have dated, right?
Oh, okay.
So people were talking about how like, if you've dated, like, I've had like 36 girlfriends.
Yeah.
Right.
That would probably be a red flag.
Why?
At what age?
25. Let's go 25. Why not?
I'm really curious to why none of those relationships. Because if you're 25 and you've had, let's like, if we're being a little bit more realistic, say like 6 girlfriends that you've had, either like he's like really like he burns quick or she burns quick, right? Like falls fast, like falls really hard, gets over them even faster, drops them like flies. Yeah, exactly. A Pete Davidson type like dating history, or like why are these people? Also, I guess it's more of a second question would be how many of them did you break up with and how many did they break up with you? Because why are these relationships not working out? Because if you're 25 and you had 6 relationships, say starting like, I don't know, when you were like 18, I mean, how long do those relationships last and why aren't they lasting?
So it's not like an automatic rejection in your brain.
I have questions.
It generates a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions.
Interesting.
And I don't think it'll yield the answers. It's like also too like, why are you afraid to be alone? Because
being alone is scary.
It is scary, but like you need to, at least I need. This is my dating preference. I need my person to like have been alone for a time and have been okay with that. To be like a fully we're never fully self-actualized, but like a fully self-actualized person.
I mean, we're never that, but you should be that. But
you should be that.
That's unreasonable. There you go. There's the preference that makes no sense to anybody. Goodness. But more to that point, from an expert psychological perspective, being alone is important. It's necessary. Right. I agree with you. We're not disagreeing, okay? So don't think I'm attacking you. Preface that.
Okay.
But at the same time, all the things that you learn as a single, alone individual need to be realized and can only be realized in a relationship.
Totally. I 100% agree with that. There's definitely...
maybe they're doing that.
But
what if they're troubleshooting
every couple months?
I mean,
I'm sorry, but at 25, like I wish quick maths. Like I'm trying to figure out the quick maths, but if you've had like 6 relationships from the age of 18 to 25, that's a lot of relationships back to back. Like how much time are you actually taking?
Year. That's a long time to be with a person.
No, the time in between is also what I'm saying too.
To also, reflect and like
like
I see what you're saying.
Are these people like? Are you really getting attached to them? Or are you just attached to the idea of relationships and you're not actually like diving deep into these people, into your partners? And like, there's just so many questions like in that sense as well. Cause I definitely 100% agree. I think like alone time is like necessary, but yeah, there's a lot of things that like when you go into a relationship is a mirror in pretty every sense of the word. Like you get into a relationship and those things, your insecurities, the great things about you too, all these things, all these things are.
I'm a badass.
You're like, right, that's right. But they're reflected back to you like in a really big way, and they're tested. Like all the things of like, oh, I want to be this kind of person, or I am this kind of person or whatever, or in a relationship, in the context of relationship, how you want to be, like that really is put to the test when you are in a relationship, and you definitely grow a lot, but there also has to be like the balance of like knowing, like taking the time to be alone and knowing yourself, because there's also people who get lost in relationships.
Sure, yeah.
So that's like the red flag that's there. It's like, okay, do you like, you're just jumping from relation to relation. Do you even really know yourself, or are you just, because like I said, relationships are a mirror, and are you just constantly reflecting back what your partner is and never allowing yourself to look in the mirror as well? Big questions.
Spitting. That's crazy. Nah, for real. Nah, that's really real, because there are people that live for the thrill of interacting with another human on a romantic level.
Yes.
Can't relate, but y'all be safe though.
Y'all be safe.
Y'all be safe though. And it's actually really interesting, because I'm at a point in my life where the most significant people in my life have found themselves in very productive and significant relationships.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to observe.
All kind of back to back as well.
Yeah, like really.
Yeah. We're going down.
Yeah. I'm just like, just observing, because this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Say it.
It's funny to me, because growing from 20 all the way to 26, 27, all the relationships that I was observing, that I was interacting with, were so toxic, so tragic, not worth having. And I used that as a justification.
Like the people you were seeing in relationships. Gotcha. Yeah.
Like the only reference I had, we don't have to say names. Y'all know who you are. Y'all know who you are. I'm just like, damn. There weren't relationships like, oh, some of the people I enjoyed, right? But seeing how they were with people made it really clear how, like, where they were in terms of maturity and all the list. You can go down the list of why they weren't effective in these interactions.
Totally.
And I use that as justification to like confirm the life I was living. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, why should I waste time?
Right.
Doing all these things with all these people, wasting time, learning things I don't need to learn, low-key getting traumatized from things I don't need to expose myself to.
Right.
For the sake of experience? Like, that's kind of weird. I don't know. But
like, I don't need that trauma.
Yeah, I don't need the unnecessary, like, crazy ex calling my phone, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. You can protect yourself from a lot of drama.
Yeah. By
living through other people's drama, vicariously through other people's drama. Yeah. So I was like, nah, forget it. I don't need anyways.
Totally.
But now that the significant people, you, the two, the homies, right?
Yeah, we know.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
They're relationships that they are finding value in, that they think are productive. And I respect these people. Yeah. I don't think that they would put themselves in these situations without the proper consideration, right?
Right.
So it's interesting to now reassess that justification for myself. Like, oh, interesting. So now I have positive references for relationships.
Right.
Where does my context come into that? I don't know. It's a very interesting thing to think about in relation to like all these preferences that I have and these standards that I have. And as you make yourself more unrelatable as an individual, being alone, the harder it is to relate to people. Yeah. Like, what do I really require from a relationship? No, that's the thing that I think about. Yeah. Because if you don't need anything, what's the point of interacting with a person?
Yeah. No, I remember I had this conversation with a guy I had dated like a few years ago, and he was saying, I don't want to be in a relationship. He's like, I don't want to wait to be in like a serious relationship when I'm older. Like I want to start in a relationship when I'm young, because he was like, then like I have all that time. Like if I'm in a relationship and I don't get married until and start a serious relationship until I'm like 30 something. Like I've had all that time when I've been alone and I'm like been independent and all these kinds of things. And he was like, how do you like get into, how do you like then mold space? Yeah. How do you make space for another person when you're 30 something? And you're like
set in your ways.
You have your life. You have
like assuming that you're successful too, right? It's like, I don't need your input.
Right.
why are you talking to me like I'm crazy when look at what I've built for myself? Like,
like how do you like you become so independent that like you can no longer make space for someone. Even like this TikTok that I saw earlier today, it was like this older lady where she was talking about like she was had previously been married for several years or whatever, and was now divorced, and in her older years has been single, living her life. And she was asked whether she'd get married again. She's like, yeah, sure, but he would need his own house. I enjoyed my space enough, like as I'm doing my thing. Like I've been married and I've done that life of like being with someone and having everything combined. And
I saw that too.
You did?
Exactly
yeah, exactly. So it's just like an interesting, which that can go into a whole other conversation about like independence and all that kind of stuff. But
and that it makes me think. There's a question. We don't have to answer it right now, but it makes me so curious because this person lived basically an entire life in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? And now it ended. They would have to start over with another person to build that life again.
Yeah.
How much of that is practical? Like, I don't need to do that. I already lived that. I don't need it. And how much of it is like an unwillingness because they're afraid of putting in that work to feel those things as strongly. Like they're just not letting themselves be vulnerable like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Good question. I don't know.
And we're not going to answer that. Moving on. All right. Think on that, everyone.
And we're not answering it. Yo. Oh, that's crazy. That's a really good question. And we're not answering it.
And we're not going to answer it. How infuriating. Oh my gosh.
I guess we can end this little charade talking about body count. Now that's the elephant in the room. We have to do it. We have to do it for the people.
I hate
for
the
for the
that.
incels, for the incels in the chat.
Ew, why?
Because they need to know.
They do.
They need to know.
They do.
Body count. Is it a big deal or not?
No.
Let the people know why or why not. I'll say my take afterwards, but
I'm going first.
Yeah, why not?
Oh gosh, I do not enjoy talking about this topic. And the reason why I don't enjoy it is because I do understand why people have like a preference for, like we live in like the dating world right now is like very, very like pro casual sex and like being able to engage in that freely, especially
hookup culture and all that.
Hookup culture, especially if you're a woman. And there's a lot of reasons that has become a thing, and a lot of reasons like the intentions behind it and whatnot that I fully support. And even if you're going to go and engage in the casual sex, I don't know why I said it like that.
You all good?
I feel comfortable.
It's okay. There you go.
I know, right? Like, by all means, do that. If that is what makes you feel empowered, then by all means go ahead and do that. But I do understand someone who is, for whatever reasons, not wanting to engage in that, hoping that their partner doesn't want to doesn't engage in that. I think though what it comes down to, like, I don't ultimately think, because I think the reasons why people will say body count, it's weaponizing it against somebody to inform them on like their sense of like loyalty and who they are as like a person and their character, and they use it as a judgment of those things. And I think that is just completely off base. Like I don't think that the one does not mean the other in that sense. Like body count does not mean that you are a good or bad person. It does not mean you are a loyal or not a loyal human. It just doesn't, the logic doesn't add up in that regard.
You touched on the most important thing about it.
Yes.
This is why we think you're smart. Because this is crazy. Like you don't know what you're articulating, but you're like,
I feel the things and
you're hitting all like the major things.
Yeah.
Body count is super important. Right? I know that contradicts what you said. But body count is super important.
All right.
It's not important for the reasons that Red Pill thinks it is.
Yes.
Right? It's just not the case.
Right.
Your ending point is the thing. Oh my goodness! I'm shook
You
that
are
you
so
I
passionate
know
about
I'm
this.
shook that you hit you just I wasn't expecting you to hit that so accurately, because they always compare body count preference to physical preference, you like men who like beards, you like men that are a certain height. It's all a physical thing, blah blah blah. Men like women who haven't fucked a lot of niggas.
Wait. And we don't like whores.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But even the classification, right? It's sure, you can't change your physical whatever. You can choose who you sleep with, sure.
Yeah.
But you're making an assumption on a person's character.
Right.
By having a body count preference.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's it doesn't make someone a demon.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make someone a saint if they do it. Because you can never have slept with anyone and get with a person that cheats on your ass. Because there's no correlation.
No.
There's no correlation between a person's character and the amount of people that they sleep with. There's a correlation to their discipline.
Yeah.
Right? There's a correlation to their mental state, but there's no correlation to their character. And if you are judging a potential interaction with a person based on that as an assumption of their character, you're setting yourself up to fail.
Right.
Because it doesn't match. And honestly, if we're being honest.
Go ahead.
For being honest, I'm gonna keep it real.
Okay.
For the incels in the chat. Ugh. My heart goes out to them, I have to say. Because
you do that.
I'm just saying, it does. I would hate to be such a pathetic individual, I feel for them because that would suck. I empathize with what it would mean to be so undesirable to society. Yeah, that's the personality that it's a projection of how you feel. That's so sad to me. Very inflated. So my heart goes out to them because they're really working with nothing and trying so hard to be something.
Working with nothing.
They're trying so hard to be something they just can't. They just can't. So that's the reaction.
Yes.
I hate all women. Anyways.
Exactly.
We got to keep it real. Men love whores.
I did not think it was going to go this direction, but I love it. Go ahead.
Men love whores. When you're in the locker room chat, you're not talking about some nice Virgin Mary little girl that you met in Bible study. Yes. You're talking about how you blew that girl's back out and how you're going to do it again tonight. And she was giving that sloppy toppy 3000 with a little twist as a gut act. You know what I'm saying? She was grabbing by the balls and all that craziness. That's what you're talking about.
Right. This is true. It's those guys will say I don't like women who go and have sex as who are you having sex with?
I'm
then?
Just saying.
Do you have a consistent sex life?
And how boring too. On top of that, how boring is a pillow princess?
Yes.
How are they going to learn how to do what they got to do? And men hate teaching women how to do things because it's awkward, it's weird, it's painful. Someone's got to do it.
Right.
Someone's got to do it.
Sex is not as fun when you're not
it's like
experienced.
A sport. It's like a sport.
Sure.
And you gotta get your points up. Gotta play a few games.
Right.
You can't be a grand chess master if you haven't won a few matches.
Right.
Know what I mean? No, I'm just saying, like I said, I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real. One time for the one time. So
100%.
It's not a character flaw.
No.
It can be, but it's not.
Yeah.
And the character flaw that you're trying to assess with body count will show up in other ways. You don't have to worry about it.
Right. 100%.
That's my take.
No, I
take it as you will. Yeah. Anyways,
wild right now.
Moving right along. And I'm sober as hell too.
I know. I'm the one sipping on wine and you're the one saying all this crazy.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
No, this is just how I feel about it, man. Y'all don't understand.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the that's my hot take of the day. Men love whores, and body count is not a reflection of people's character.
Yeah,
it's a reflection of how fun they are, how much fun they like to have. Just saying. Anyway,
Jem is a man for the women.
I'm just saying,
he's for the people.
I'm neither here nor there, man. I just gotta, like I said, I just gotta keep it real for the people in the back
100%
that are confused. Gotta set the record straight. But if you really want to break it down, to its most like foundational elements, preferences kind of come from 4 areas.
Name them.
How you were raised.
Yeah.
Parental projection. How your parents are is the first iteration of not romantic, but a relationship.
Of an intimate relationship.
That's the first iteration. So your preferences are automatically imprinted from your parents.
Oof.
How they are is what you will like, for better or for worse. For better or for worse, they are the first imprintation. Right. Then it goes straight to location, where you grew up and who you grew up around.
Yeah.
If you grew up around super tall basketball players,
sure,
that's all you're going to like. If you grew up around like Amish short people, then you would really have a thing for Amish short people.
Yeah.
Until you have a different context to base these attractions on.
Right.
Of course, like media has a lot to play into that, but if you're watching cartoons.
Yeah, Zuko was looking real good.
I'm saying, little Princess Yue on him. Hey, yo. Hey. Starfire, right. Raven. Oh, don't get me started, please.
They could get it.
Please. Oh, my goodness. And the third one, bring it back. The third one, dating history. So the people you have dated in the past.
Yes, informing.
For what it's worth, people like to repeat the feelings that they get, right? So they look for people that they think can give them those same feelings.
Right.
Which, if it didn't work out with your first person.
Right.
Well, anyways, that's neither here nor there. And then the last part, the socio-cultural component.
Yeah.
So the things that our society deems as attractive and desirable. Right. Which I think is the where people like to tiptoe around, right? Because in American society specifically, a very specific type of individual has been deemed less desirable. So when you talk about preferences, and you can see this all over the internet. When I was researching this topic, that's like the first thing I saw. I was like, oh yeah, I don't date black women.
Yep.
Like, I hate black people. Yeah. I was like, oh, so this is
it's like when that was like a shocking thing. Was I mean, not shocking in the sense of like those biases existing, right? Of course, yeah. But just that was such a heavy part of the conversation that people were having on the internet when talking about dating preferences, is that your like dating preference and like a racial preference is not a dating preference, and actually it's quite racist. And that conversation more heavily existing between like the black and white community, and there's definitely other groups included in that for sure, but it seemed to be most heavily like discussed about like, and like you were saying, like either it being black women not being desirable at all, or the weird like fetishizing of black men.
I saw that a lot too.
Right. So it's like it was like those two things of like, all right, miss girl, like
and I think too, and the reason why it becomes like this hot topic, especially post 2020. Yeah. How do you separate, especially a racial preference? How do you separate a racial preference from the overarching history of racism in American society?
It's hard
kind of impossible.
I was gonna say, like, how can you say that that's not informed by like
that's
that
just
history?
What I like.
I'm like, I don't know about that.
You sure it's not all the Disney princesses being white?
Right.
You sure it's not all the black like villains and stuff like that you deemed as like ugly and repulsive?
Right.
Like, you sure it's not the magazines that you read?
There's all of this subtle like information being
programming. Yeah.
Talk about programming, literally 100%. Or then even seeing like the desired like male or like the desired like female always being white, you know, like, so of course that's going to inform. It's a bias that you have just been constantly informed at.
Being social.
Yeah.
And looking at, like, as a child, right? I'm thinking from a kid's perspective.
Right.
If you, like Meg from Hercules, right? Sultry, desirable, like the object of affection.
Totally.
We think that she's attractive because people that we're watching are attracted to her.
Yeah.
You flip that around, Hercules, white man, everyone's obsessed over him. That's subtly informing
100%.
what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Hard to say. Super difficult to say.
Well, what it's saying is that, like, the media that we have been consuming was never diverse in, like, creating that desire for, like, other, like, groups of people. And that's what you see, like, a lot now. And people will say, like, just let them be white, it's fine. But there is something to be, it's just a movie, it's just like a cartoon, et cetera, et cetera. But there's something to be said in, like, that representation being shown, not just of, like, Black people, but of, like, brown people, like Indian people, Southeast Asian
positive
people.
representations of these different minorities.
Positive representation, and not just positive representation, but, like, these people, like all types of people being put in this position of, like, being, like, desired or held in, like, a really positive light, right?
Do you think the rise of interraciality becomes relevant in this discussion? More people have access, especially like in California, stuff like that. There's if I go out into the world, I can find an Asian person I can date, I can find a white person I can date, I can find a Indian person I can date, and so on and so forth.
Totally.
Do you think that because there's so much variety that we can access, it's important to have conversations like this? Know what I mean?
I think, like, that can be a conversation, but maybe not in the way, or at least the way that I'm thinking about it, not in the way that maybe you're bringing it up.
How so? How are you thinking about it?
Well, like, I grew up in the community I grew up in was very diverse. Like, I grew up around, like, a lot of different people. I was very lucky in that sense. Like, literally everyone under the sun. We had all types of nationalities, all types of different people.
Brown, purple, blue.
Black, brown, purple.
Pink.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So I think, like, because I just saw a lot of different type of people, and even though I grew up, like, heavily Christian, like, I still there was a really large, and still is a large Sikh community where I'm from, a large Mormon community where I'm from, and I grew up around a lot of Indian people. I grew up around a lot of Russian people, a lot of Asian people. So like, for me, I think that, like, just all different types of people I grew up around, like, it
gave you, like, the appreciation.
Yeah. And exactly, 100%.
So if that's the case, and you grew up in the same projected media that I grew up in,
yeah,
does the media need to be?
Yes, because I still was. I think that ultimately, like, granted, in terms of, like, seeing people as humans, like, or, like, understanding, I wasn't so like I don't know, like, seeing someone, like, in a head wrap. Right. Like, I apologize. I do not know the exact what it's referred to as. But a lot of Sikh people wear their head covered, especially the men. Like, I don't see that. And I'm not, like, I don't get, like, this, or some people will get, like, this fear because of all this media, like, especially older people, they have all this media that was given to them post 9/11. And so that, like, really informing their biases. That does not happen for me. I don't think that happens for a lot of people our age anyways, but, that doesn't really happen for me. But still, there's, like, we're talking about, like, romance in this sense, and, like, seeing these people and, like, different people, like, in this romantic context, and that they can be it's like I said, like, they can be loved, right? And, like, it's important
to show that
exactly that everyone can be loved. 100%.
Why is that so funny to you?
It's funny. Well, it's sad to me is what it more, and I'm laughing and I'm giggling because it's just like, of course, you know what I mean?
It should be so obvious and natural, but that's just not the case.
And it's just scary that like a TV show, and like trust me, I wish that, like, the entertainment industry didn't have, like, such a chokehold on the things that we, like, as a society will, like, have biases on or not, but that's just is the case.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in.
The responsibility of those mediums to represent people correctly.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I wonder too, in the topic of diversity, where, like, on the other end of these people having their racial preferences, like I don't date these type of people.
Yeah.
I think another response to the way that this media situation affects us is I like not only dating these people, but like I have a preference for these people.
Yeah.
So is that as bad? Or where does like, oh, I really enjoy, like, I think black women are so beautiful. Where does that appreciation become a fetishization?
Ugh. Yeah, that's a really good question.
Right?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I mean, you can try to take a stab at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's like,
as a black woman, I feel like you of all people would have a better perspective.
I think there just is like a difference between saying like I can find a black woman attractive and then I don't know because like I will say from my own like personal experience, like I have had, even like longer term boyfriends say like, well, you're so like, I like you because you're so like exotic. You're so exotic. Like I've literally had.
It's so funny to me as a black man.
Like, I'm not exotic. Like right, I am the most non-exotic human. I'm so awkward and not elegant.
Exotic, right? Okay.
I guess
it's interesting to see how people view you, though.
I literally hail from the middle of the California Valley, like
Sacramento.
Like
how exotic is that?
Right. Hey, look, if Sacramento is exotic, then like
anyway. Moving right along. Right along. Hey, yeah.
But no, like I've legitimately have had like people.
Oh my god, your tan skin so
like
exotic.
say that to me. Yeah, and
Sir!
Definitely a red flag. Definitely a red flag. And in that moment, like I guess I don't know how to articulate where that line is. It's just like the feeling that I guess you have is like, okay, well, that person clearly sees like it as like maybe like cool or interesting. Like this white dude like sees it as interesting that I'm dating like a black girl, yada yada yada. Whereas
you would find that those people are so problematic,
right?
So problematic. Like all these microaggressions, like weird assumptions that they have on black people.
But that's the thing though, is that even this like ex that I'm referring to, he's not super problematic in a lot of ways, like he was very like in the ways that people are going to maybe like say like, he was a very open-minded dude. And like, I just think it went to show like how there are these like underlying like biases that you don't even realize, even if you consider yourself like a woke human being, like that's what I was
what I mean? On, yeah. It's not like he's like a racist.
No, exactly.
But like, they have like if you think you as a human being are exotic, then you naturally have that intrinsic underlying problematic mindsets. Like, what else was he saying that could have been called into question?
Right, that he doesn't even realize. 100%. And I like I said, I think for me, it really is just a feeling, because even now with like my current boyfriend, it's okay. Well, you are black. That is, or like that, and then not really being as much of a conversation or like a thing. Like, I like you because you're this. It's just more of like, I think you're hot, and
and that I don't need to clarify anything beyond that.
Right.
And I think from a black man's perspective, we're like trending now, which is kind of cool.
You guys are trending.
We're trending. Dark skins are finally up. Yeah, take that, light skins.
Y'all have your moments.
Take that, light skins. We finally up.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy.
No, I'm talking about like, remember like back in 2008 when light skinned dudes like were like super in.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my goodness! Like, we finally got a time. Hey, take that.
Yes.
James, from high school.
James. No, his name is Jaden.
Literally, Literally. Oh my goodness. But in all seriousness,
yeah,
I'd rather be liked for my blackness than disliked for my blackness if I had
right.
to
If
choose.
you had to choose,
If I had to choose, so it's like
totally.
and maybe this is like a learned type of situation that like you can't really separate. Like this is like internalized trauma on my end.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't mind being fetishized.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. It's like that has never been a limitation on my life. Like, oh, jungle fever, whatever. It's like, if that's what brought you into my space, it's just another tool I can use to my advantage, right? It's not like not like a, oh my God, I'm a human being. Like, it's like, but I'm a human being, sure. Yeah. But I'm also black.
Yeah.
And those two things you can't separate the two.
Right. 100%.
So it wasn't until 2020 and the whole like June situation, the marches and all that stuff came to be that I really took a step back and like assessed like what that meant for me. Yeah. And the undertones of like what people say and how people felt about black people. It's like, I do now see the problems of fetishization. Yeah. And the separation of a person's humanity based on race. Like, if you only like a person for how they look and for a specific set of archetypes that come with, like, oh, I like white people for XYZ, I like Asian people for XYZ, I like black people for XYZ, when it actually matters that this is a human being in front of you. Right. You can't empathize with them.
Because you're not connecting with them as a human.
You're not connecting with them as a human. You're connecting with them as an archetype. Right. For your own desire. Right. And just as relationships go, if you're only interacting with a person based on like what you can get out of them, when things are affecting, like, oh, like I feel some type of way about these marches and what they represent. Yeah. No white girlfriend that I could have had at the time would have related to that. No. And that's when I started to realize, like, oh, these are the things that you need in long-term relationships. Yeah. These are the things that matter. Because if you were over here talking to me about and these are some of the people that I was talking to at the time were coming at me sideways with some crazy stuff. I was like, oh, so this is how you really feel? Yeah. What were we interacting about this entire time? Right. You go to their families and they have these like racist uncles that are looking at you sideways. Like, all these things matter. Right. It's really important. Yeah, that's what you would have to deal with. That's a stressor on a relationship. It is. And it made me, and it's like, what are those things you can't really articulate to a person who isn't black? Because we understand it intrinsically. Like, I don't even have to like articulate myself so effectively. Right. But the moment with a white person you're like arguing against her dad, who's like treating you a certain way, and they're like, I don't even think what he says is that bad. It's like, but why are we having? Then you have to layer the implication I do not have and the time history. To explain this exactly. To you. And why am I explaining this to you? As a traumatized and affected and offended individual, should not have to explain these things to you or be expected to. As my significant other. Yeah. For you to like empathize and relate and like want to comfort the thing that I'm frustrated about. Right. No, 100%. And even like for myself, as like, even when I would like, because that's not, I've been referenced as exotic many a times. Sure. And in hindsight, or even in those moments, I've realized that it's because, and granted, at least from these people, it was because I was light skinned. It truly was because like, because there's like this, there is like a specific like, and granted, this is what it is. Like lighter skinned women by other races that are not black, actually even black men. Let me take that back. No, but like in society, black men will have like a preference for lighter skin, like black women over like darker skin black women. And that like, okay, well, why am I so exotic? Like, oh, because you're like the right kind of black person. Yikes. That's like, hey, yo. No, that's but that's literally 100%. That's essentially what they're saying. I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, my mom's a dark skinned black woman. Is she not beautiful? Right. Absolutely not. Is she? Well, there we go. Well, that's all it needs to be. That's all I need to hear. Yeah, that's what they're. That's what they want to say. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. But it's like you said, it's at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, if you're only finding me attractive, like you're finding me attractive, but also I'm like only like the right kind of attractive. Like, are you really seeing me? Like, why
is this just my foot in the door to be with you?
Right.
Or is this all I'm with you for?
Right.
No, yeah. Yeah. So that's 2020 was when I started reassessing that stuff.
Yeah. No.
Found a newfound appreciation with for Black women. Yeah. And to that point, racial preferences, do they matter if you are of that race?
Like not preferring your own race.
Or only preferring your own race. Like I want, and this is to that point, right? This is to that point.
Yeah.
Because after 2020, I found a newfound appreciation for Black women. I was like, I would really love to foster a long-term relationship with a Black person.
Yeah. No, totally.
And now that has slowly become my preference. Not that I need it, but I would prefer it.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. I think like what we're kind of, and we kind of been tiptoeing around it a little bit as well, is like the difference between like a racial preference versus like a cultural preference. And I think, I think it can be like a fine line. I think people can like teeter a little bit. But I think a cultural preference is 100% understandable. Because that kind of just like, what are we desiring in a relationship? And then we were just saying that is connection and understanding and agreement. And a lot of times, like for people, like their culture is so like strongly ingrained in them. That sometimes people don't want to, like we're saying, we don't want to have to explain it. Just it to be just known and understood and shared too, because there are. Not even just within the Black community, but like literally just like other cultures where it's like there are like literally shared experiences,
like
holidays
happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. Where like someone who is also of like the Muslim faith, like they just would understand that. They understand that culture of that. And like, you know, you connect, yada, yada, yada. And so I think that's 100% understandable. I think that's understandable. I think some people need to be careful, but because I think Americans don't have a culture.
Yeah, American culture is American culture,
right.
And so often, this is why we're having this conversation. It's the people that are outside of the culture, that want people inside of a different culture, right? So American man, like, oh, I want a Hispanic girl because of the culture. Is that cultural appropriation or is it cultural appreciation? It's really hard to say because I love
also a fine line.
Lots of family that aren't Black, Hispanic, aren't Caribbean,
right? And
they integrate themselves and they love it. They love the food and it's like really fun and enjoyable,
right?
And then when I hear it talked about on the internet, you get passport bros. Like,
what is a passport bro?
Oh, we can get into that at a later time. It's basically a person that a man who goes to find a relationship in a different country.
Oh.
And they've been...
I did not know that was a thing.
No, yeah, they've been on the rise recently.
They're on the rise.
And it's like a conversation because...
Oh, is it like the girls who are like, I'm going to go to Italy and meet my Italian man?
It's really like that, but the way it's framed in conversation is not like that at all.
Okay, it's not very romantic.
It's framed very predatory.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's not romantic and fun.
To the men it is. To the men it's very romantic and fun because they're basically saying like American women are too stubborn and disagreeable. So we're gonna go to like Cuba and find a girl that like appreciates me for being
okay. Well,
it's a fine line because on the one hand it's like I get what they're saying because a lot of American women can be very disagreeable. But on the other hand, like we were saying before, it's like, are you a man worth not disagreeing with?
Right.
You are not like you don't have enough clout,
right,
to be talking about. I can't believe this woman is No, you need someone to disagree with you.
You have some shitty takes.
You know,
I'm sorry. You need someone to tell you that you're wrong.
You need the discourse of conversation.
Right. And I don't know. There's just like a red flag if someone in general does not like is seeking a relationship where they have zero like disagreement or 100%. Like conflict. You know what I mean? Like.
So that's where like the narrative comes like, oh, you just want someone that's easier to control.
Right.
Right. And a lot of these men do, because a lot of these men aren't at the level which they preach about. And that will be my take moving forward.
Yeah.
Talking about like these red pills and stuff like that, because I get it. There's a lot of values that I agree with.
Yeah.
But it's who's saying them and why they're saying them. You don't have the you don't have the authority to speak like this.
Yeah.
Because you're not a man that you're not even a man that is aligned with the values you're talking about. Yeah. So this doesn't apply to you. So why are you talking about it?
Right.
You know?
For sure.
But again, that's a tangent.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with it. But yeah, those, what were we talking about before?
We're talking about racial versus cultural preferences.
Oh yeah, so like on the other side of that, you do get the passport, bro. So it's like,
yeah. And I guess
love sharing my culture with people.
Yeah.
I think it's the most amazing thing.
No, 100%.
But now it's gotten weird, and I don't think we can separate.
You have to be careful about who you want to share your culture with.
And I don't think we can separate it. I think it's like just as white people are talking about, it's like, well, it's not our fault that this happened so long ago. It's like, yeah, sure, I understand. You guys never owned slaves. You grew up in California for like X amount of generations.
Totally.
But the implication is still there. The standard is still there. The phenomenon still happened. Right. So we just have to deal with the reality that we're experiencing. And like, sure, I would love it if this wasn't the case, but this is the case. And because you're white, it affects it more. Right? Because I'm black, it affects it more. Right. X, Y, Z. So it's like, in an ideal world, sure, I really wish that we didn't have to discuss this. We didn't have
to talk about this.
But this is not an ideal world. Right. So it must be talked about. And
exactly.
Bothers me. It bothers me a little bit.
It's very bothersome, but it's the world we currently live in. And it's necessary conversations to hopefully live in a more idealistic world.
Yeah, we can head towards the right track.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think preferences should be specific and selective and really weed out most people. Yeah. It's weird, in my opinion, to be offended by a person's preferences, racial or otherwise, right? Yeah, right. Like racial, like sure. As a black person, if a girl ever walks in, like, I don't date black guys, I will be offended by it, right?
Right.
Sure.
100%.
I can't change the fact that I'm black, but also I can't change the fact that I'm like a certain height. I can't change the fact that I'm a certain way. I can't change. Well, I can't change the fact that I'm a certain way. But for all intents and purposes, like there's a lot of things that you can't change, and I think having preferences, that's the point. Like that's the point of having a preference. In a if your ideal romantic situation is to find quote unquote the one, then if you're choosing from billions of people, you should have preferences that hyper select. Yeah. And instead of being like really aggressive and offended and trying to include yourself into everybody's preferences and everyone should like everybody, you should put that energy into people that find you attractive. Yeah. Just build up the things in your own situation that highlight you and make you a successful person in the marketplace, and match with the people that like you. Yeah. And say fuck the people that don't. Yeah. No, life is too short for anything otherwise.
I sort of agree.
Why? What's the sort of?
Well, in my conclusion being, I think certain things should be specific, and I think it really, the emphasis in dating should always be on like a value set, right? And being specific in that, I think is important for dating. And I think the other things, other things as you get older and whatnot, and they just start to matter like less, like the other things that we were talking about, some of the more like physical traits, like age and height and height and all these kinds of things. Yeah. And I think that some things become less specific and other things should become more specific as you grow and learn and all that kind of stuff.
But all of them should be weeding people out.
Right. Yes. 100%. You ain't gonna be compatible with everyone.
You shouldn't be compatible.
You
with
should
everyone.
not. That is weird.
Pick me girls and all that stuff. No.
Oh no. 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 None of that. None of that. No, thank you.
But yeah, that about wraps it up.
I think it does. That was a really good conversation.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I did.
I love talking about my opinionated preferences. Yeah. Even though I didn't really get into my opinionated preferences, I kept it very PG.
Yeah, let's just say it would have been quite a wild episode if you did.
Again, we need more staying power. Yeah. Before we start being aggressive.
Yeah.
And then you guys can get to know the real us. Oh no. Yikes. I've been following this bigot for the last
You're like, who is this person?
That's crazy. But anyways.
This was a good combo. It was fun.
I enjoyed it.
We talked about a lot of different fun stuff. It was good.
But at the end of the day, I'm Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we're the Intellectuals. Signing off, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.